There is a very long history of the relationship between technology and education, going back at the very least until from the 19th century. So all new technologies, particularly communications technology, were heralded as bringing fundamental transformation to our schools and our universities. So the radio actually was actively used in the 20s by universities, particularly in the US, to broadcast lessons and classes, and then television, mail, and so on and so forth. Now the internet comes, and again, people are saying this is going to fundamentally change education. I think it's going to change something in education, more than the previous communications technology, because it's bidirectional and it's richer. It's a richer experience than television, for instance. And I don't think it's going to change, and I hope it's not going to change some fundamental characteristics of education, which is the person-to-person connection. So the professor-student and among students connections. I think it's going to depend, surprisingly, not so much about technology, but from politics. It's going to depend on political decisions, because whether politicians in Europe, in the US or elsewhere are going to protect at least the fundamental nature of current institutions, so physical spaces where physical people interact, and they can also interact online, is one thing. It could be completely different if we go to the other extreme of destructuring physical institutions and saying that everything is happening online. And that this is actually a political decision. Technology can support both. Actually, I hope that it's going to be part of the scenario. So I'm totally happy if we can have as much learning as possible online, but without replacing the current institutions where, again, I say, we have a physical space where people that devoting their life to knowledge, professors and researchers for their life, and students for part of their life potentially coming back again. The current institution is based on this idea. So I like to think of the internet as an extension, enriching experience of the physical experience, not a replacement. So that's, I think, one of the main arguments of my book is going to argue for embracing the digital way in the right way, in order to not to give too much space to the fundamentalists that would like to replace it entirely with purely online interaction. Actually, just it's funny you should ask this question, because very recently research data came out showing that the massive online courses, so-called MOOCs, are used much more by already educated people and affluent people. So it's not only a matter of digital divide, people are online or offline, but also of the people online, apparently is the richest and most educated people taking advantage of the MOOCs. So actually, surprisingly and counterintuitively, they seem to increase the education gap. So we have to do something different, and the something different can be many different things, but one of them is that people, particularly people from more poor classes and with less background, they need other people caring for them. Me as a teacher, I'm caring about you and I'm helping you to learn. That's exactly what people in need the most. The current institutions actually are based on that idea, at least in theory, at least in principle, that you have a professor or a teacher that has taken to heart the educational development of somebody. So maybe we have to rediscover an ancient idea and give it more life and more resources and more structure. That's a sort of a utopia that I don't think anybody thinks that seriously, because the internet can be a wonderful tool for many things, some good and some bad, and done properly. And again, that's why politics and societal issues come back. The technology can be deployed in many different ways, can be used to empower or can be used to disenfranchise. So that's why political decisions and political discussions and even meetings like the one we are having in Berlin are important, because technology is not happening by itself. Technology is being directed, is being shaped, and you shape it and you direct it based on values and based on political visions.